Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks podcast with your host, Catriel. We have a amazing, beautiful soul here as my guest. His name is Rootz. Hello, Rootz.
Hello, Catriel.
How are you doing today?
It's an amazing day. We are consistently working on the unfoldment of existing and, learning more and more about ourselves each and every day.
I love that. That is the theme, right, of this lifetime.
Exactly. Get so caught up sometimes, but,
right.
I think that's part of the too.
So I've known you like about a year now, right?
Yep, I think it's been about a year.
Yeah. Had that one visionary party of talking about community and building that. We've done camping trips before and all these different things, and you have such a wise soul. This man does everything from tarot to astrology. Man, just the most wisdom-filled soul. Please tell us more about yourself and what you want to talk about.
So, to start off, for anybody who's interested in following me later, my name is Rootz NFLuX, NFLuX. I am a tarot oracle card reader by profession. I have been reading runes since I was 13, astrology as well, just about as long, but I give Catriel all props for astrology. That's not fully my bag.
Thank you.
And you just got to be honest about where it is that you really put your energy, and the cards and how they actually encourage the human psyche to really explore itself has kind of been my biggest passion in life, because from a young age, just to give a little bit of backstory, I was already feeling and seeing energy from people. And as a result, I could tell that everything I was learning in school wasn't exactly relevant. It wasn't truthful. It wasn't filled with light vibrational frequency that, we work with on a more day-to-day basis now, or at least I do. If it ain't light, it ain't right.
I like that.
Definitely a motto that I think we can all get behind a little bit. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've been working on the last several years is mostly like what we would refer to now in pop culture, or as far as in this niche is, it's shadow work. Because through the shadows we then recognize like our light. We see the darker aspects of ourselves, like our traumas, our rackets that we'll run with ourselves, or programs that we run with ourselves, that actually stop and inhibit us from being our most authentic divine light. And yeah, I think that was a lot.
Yeah, shadow work has been a major theme, in our community. And, that looks like it looks different for every single person. Would you like to share with us what shadow work means to you?
Absolutely. Okay. So, and I'm going to say it from the premise of tarot, because that for me is actually part of the reason also why I started to do it, was because it allows for this grounded, because it's a physical object, it allows for a grounded reflection of whatever it is we're trying to understand or to explore. Like, you can just shuffle your cards and ask, what is the energy of this situation? And the cards are going to tell you. They're going to give you a very clear kind of snapshot. I say clear, and I've been reading cards for 20 years, so for me it's super clear and super obvious. But for like a beginner, it still can be just as easy to understand. It's like, what, that card really hits me. I don't know why, but I want to explore it. So for me, shadow work, to really explore it, is like just asking the questions, really deep diving in on yourself to understand what is going on within me? How can I work with this? Like, even like noticing, hey, I'm really feeling depressed right now. What's going on? Is there something that I can look at that would help assist me break through this depression? And that's something that I've been doing this for so long that it's really cool to like, oh wait, here's a tool we can throw in somebody else's tool belt,
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing that I like to try and do is like, hey, let's give people the tools to do the work for themselves. And then when they're like, because like when I was doing psychology in school, like they were always trying to get me to like just sit there and listen to people. And I'm like, okay, but we can sit there and we can listen to them, but then we can also give them tools as to how to actually work through whatever it is that's coming up for them versus just being like, here's a Band-Aid, here's some, whatever the latest fad medical drug is. And I'm not dismissing the validity of the drugs, because sometimes we really need it to ground back down. But yeah, that's a whole different podcast.
I really value like even what you said thus far. Also being a psych student, I went to both St. Petersburg College and to USF St. Pete. And I will tell you that, psychology is presented a certain way. And honestly, I resonated more with what St. Pete College taught me rather than USF St. Pete from the particular classes I was in, because I felt like it wasn't, showing the tools. It just like you said. And another aspect of what you're talking about with the tarot, I really relate to it a lot because of the fact that, I also do tarot, but I like your approach with it. I feel like tarot has gotten a bad rep, like a very bad rep, because of the fact that it's always future telling and stuff like that. And, the way you use it and the way it was really cultivated was to see like the spiritual language between you and the universe and really identifying, how to improve yourself rather than, let's see what's going to happen next, It can be used for that, but preferably I like to use it the other way.
Yeah, I mean, me, like my style, I do what's called the present moment alignment. Mm-hmm. And I do it because it breaks that illusion of, oh, I'm a fortune teller. I'm like, the only fortune I can tell is what's currently going on within you. I can read you as a person right in here in front of me like a book, or at least what's currently going on within your experience. And that's based on the codes of like, what's going on within this person, what's the current situation with this, versus like, can we ask the questions about the future? Yes, but again, remember, everything's fickle.
Yeah.
You could choose to hang up this call right now, and that would be a very different experience for both you and I if we made that active choice, right? Versus for the next 30 to 40 minutes or however long we're going, like that would generate its own level of frequency out into the universe, because fundamentally everything's about choice.
Right.
And I notice this a lot whenever there's the thing where somebody will like fan the cards out in front of you and be like, okay, pick a card. Well, you can tell what type of person somebody is based on, do they go real quick? Do they feel out real quick and then grab a card? Do they go and like hover their hands over each card? All three of those were very different mindsets of people.
Yeah.
And that's not to say there isn't even more perspectives that people could share with it, but like it's really fascinating that just that one way, one action can completely change your life.
Totally. Not to mention like timelines.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's like sometimes you can actually really feel into the cards. I mean, they are energy. They are literally, we have to think about the fact that this is a craft that's been around for over 600 years. So it has its own spirit, if we want to call it that, its own vibrational frequency. But everything was dialed in from, all the information that it was dialed in for, was much further back. Hermeticism, we're talking about before the Egyptians. Like, this is way back information that has been encoded into something that pretty much everybody can go to their local metaphysics shop or even their local bookstore and get a really amazing book or a deck for a little bit of money.
Right.
I don't know how much, depending on which deck it is.
Mostly $23.
Yeah, I mean, there's the ones that are $23. I mean, there's these beautiful ones on Kickstarter. It really depends on like where you want to jump down into the rabbit hole. And I say that because I just got the Cosmovisions and Prismavisions decks from James R. Eads, EADS, which are absolutely exquisite, and I haven't even opened them yet, but they just got into the mail, and that was a Kickstarter that I did almost last year sometime, and they just got to me. So,
so how many decks do you have?
At present moment, I think I have roughly like 15, maybe closer to 20. When I was leaving St. Petersburg, I had over 30, but I gave away well over half of them.
Yeah.
When I left, because some of them were duplicates, some of them never really resonated, and that's just part of it. It's like, but I have spent at least 1,000 or 2 on cards.
Yeah. And they all have different personalities, which is really interesting, and like you said, does this deck resonate with me, or does it not? It has its own language.
Some people like vampires. I've seen 4 different vampire decks, and I don't resonate with it. And it's not that I don't like vampires. I just don't care for that type of art style. And each one is a different art style. Some people like, there's these really cute chibi ones, and not actually vampires, but there probably is a vampire chibi one. But some people like anime. I'm more of a realist. Visions is more like Starry Night by Van Gogh. So I'm really excited to get to experience that.
Yeah.
But with each one, it's a matter again of like opening yourself up. And so there's 2 different ways to really read tarot. And there's the logical, like you've studied the book, roughly what the meanings are. And then there's the intuitive, which is really based off of more of the imagery and what the cards' images are kind of telling you. And this particular deck is intended to be more of a visual, intuitive style reader. And I will highlight that for the most part, like if you only got like 1 or 2 keywords for each card, there's still so much.
Right.
There's still so much. Like, you can't just say the magician, he's a crafty person. I mean, he is. But good God, that's like the magician is the person who's coming into his power. He's like recognizing all of the tools in his toolkit to then be able to craft the world based on, the 4 elements, and including spirit. So that's just a quick rundown of what he does.
Right. I really liked, I took your tarot class, what was it, like 8 months ago? I don't know. Maybe less than that. But time's irrelevant at this moment in time.
Completely agree, yeah.
But one thing that you suggested was watching the video about the Fool's Journey, and that was really cool.
Oh, yeah, 21 Faces of God, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, like, tarot is different than oracle, and it tells a journey, and I find it so like, I love oracle cards, but there's something with tarot and the journey of it that really resonates, like,
absolutely.
Like, what's your favorite aspect? I don't even know how to ask this question, I guess, but what's your take on the journey, and what has that done for you throughout your tarot journey?
Whew, that's a big one. That is a big one. All right. Whew, okay.
Go big or go home, right?
Oh, but I mean, we're here, honey. We're home.
Exactly.
All right. God. Okay. I mean, do I surmise it? Do I expand upon it? I'm just gonna go with it, and you tell me where you want me to go with it.
Speak your heart's truth.
Goodness. Okay. Because you asked like 3 questions in there. So
I
know. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. But here we go. The Fool's Journey is all about the fool. The person listening to this podcast, you in your life, you are the fool. In my life, I am the fool. Every person who shows up in our life is also the reflection of the fool, but also their own archetype. So to make it a little simple, in the major arcana, there is 3 sections. There is the archetypes of the mentality, there's the spiritual aspect, and then there's the physical aspect. The first 9 energies, or first 8 energies, are actually all physical, and so that means they show up. So that means like the Fool, he's actively showing up in his life, but he is you. The Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, Hierophant, the Lovers, what's the 7th? The Chariot, and
Hermit?
Yeah, I think the Hermit's 8 or 9. But in either case, that's enough, because that's the physical aspect, right?
Right.
And so within there, those are like different people who show up in your life when you're ready for them, right? There's the saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, in the same way, those cards also show up. This last year at Zen Awakening, I was ready for the Emperor to show up in my life. And so he did. And I connected with him, and it was so amazing. Like, really, really grounded me into that everything is okay. You are worthwhile. You're truly sharing from a knowledge space. You know what it is that is tarot, and, keep going through it. Now, for me, like, probably a lot of us as beings, we can get caught up in being afraid when, big social setting. Right? Some people excel in social settings, and I'm not one of those people at this point. At least not in teaching. But that's and I also met a person named Empress. So then within there, it was the recognition that, she's done over 100 workshops, and she's still nervous with doing them.
Wow.
So it's a matter of keep doing it. We are all learning. We're all learning from our different avenues in life. So she was more of an intuitive, energetic creator. So laws of attraction, manifestation, and really gearing us up to listening to our bodies is a major lesson within tarot, but also within just life in general. I mean, when we first are born, we are kind of like cut up, chopped down, told that we need to act a certain way, be this type of person to fit into this modern society. Ooh, pardon. And that's kind of what the tarot actually encourages us to review, to look at, to step back from our day-to-day life, create sacred space within cards, and come back into our own mind, explore our own mind, our own body, our vessel in such a way that we're moving. We're actively able to shift and to transform our lives based on, just a simple reading. I mean, we say it's simple, but even a 3-card spread, I know people who can take hours going through a 3-card spread. Me, I'm like, I flip them out, and that's like 30 seconds, and I'm usually pretty good. But, when you sit there and you actually just don't indulge in anything else, there's a lot that can come out in just even 3 cards.
Right.
Because
it's truthful, though.
Yeah.
Because once you take those cards out and you look at them, you can always go deeper and deeper. I know this as a Scorpio. Oh dear God,
Oh my
I can
God.
keep going deep.
Yeah, especially the Scorpio. I'm over here. I stopped doing Western astrology. Because it makes better sense for me to be a Cancer, which is what I'm Vedic astrology.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
like, right. I'm like, I don't want to be out socializing. I don't want to be like the superstar of the fucking show. I'm like, I want to be in my cave, chilling out, feeling my feels, and then sharing from that space of somebody who's grounded in their emotions to then be able to step out. And if you fuck with me, I just might pinch you. Okay.
Hello, crab.
They don't call me Krabby Patty for nothing. No, I'm kidding. Don't call me that.
I shall not. I felt like I was SpongeBob there for a moment.
Right? and that's one of the fun things that I've learned, that sometimes we get so serious with tarot because it fundamentally is what I will consider an air tool. It is a logical tool. It is something to get your brain to process. And that's something that, like fire would be considered a fire tool, a tool of fire. So some people who do eye gazing with the fire, that works wonderful for some people. Me, I can look at a candle for like 30 minutes and I'm bored the entire time. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It doesn't make sense. But I can sit and look at a bowl of water and I'm just flooded with emotions and different sensations and stuff of that nature, right?
Right.
And just the same with cards. Like, I am flooded with information and I love it. It makes sense to my brain.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest takeaway is, like, we all have come through this portal into Earth plane, 3D plane, whatever you want to call it. And we're all here to experience our experiences, feel your feelings. They're valid, they're important, but don't get caught up in them.
Right.
Right? And that is one of the things that I feel is so paramount to tarot, because air doesn't get caught up in emotions. Air is, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on, and that's the story, and that's the truth, period. Now, if you want to twist my words, that's on you, baby, but that's not what they're there for. They're there to tell you the cold, the truth, the nitty, the gritty. And I mean, there's no reason to spare feelings, because they're not trying to spare your feelings. They're just trying to help you break through to being the highest vibrational frequency that you can be. Now, I know many times in my journey, I stopped reading the cards because I was caught up in my feelings and I was annoyed they were telling me about things that I should have known better. And but, after 20 years, I'm like, now if I have a question, I genuinely do just go and I check my cards. I see what's up. I see how the thing is. And, I don't remember what the number is because it's astronomical, but the chances of any particular reading ever coming out are well in the quadrillions. So no two people will ever have the same hand. No two people will ever have the same reading. I mean, maybe they'll have similar cards, but even still, that's really random, because you got to think that most decks are anywhere from 78 to, I think the highest I've seen was 86 that was still considered tarot, but I've seen decks with 100 plus cards in them. And they don't call them tarot after that point, because tarot in itself is a system that operates very simply in a way. I'd say it's simple. Between the major and the minor arcana, I mean, the minor has 56 or I think 56 because it's
right.
Well, 52 is the original deck, but that doesn't include the addition of the 4 court cards for the Divine Feminine youth.
Okay.
So the court cards they're Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine. So there's the polarity of masculine and feminine. Then there is old and young for each version. So there's the divine masculine, divine feminine, divine masculine youth, divine feminine youth, and then divine masculine adult and divine masculine or divine feminine adult.
Oh,
so
okay.
Queen, king, prince, princess, or mother, father, son, and daughter.
Gotcha.
It honors all aspects. Now, I will highlight that for most people, if they're reading from the right or right, it includes a page, which is not a genderized frequency. And so there's that. And there's all the decks use different variations depending on where their author's perception lens of the world is.
Right.
And that's not, I'm not here to say one's better, one's worse. I particularly like the Heimdall deck, which uses mother, father, son, daughter.
Okay.
It feels the most organic. I'm like, we're not getting highfalutin with being kings and queens. I mean, yeah, we are kings and queens. We are the creator of our own reality, but it puts less pressure and less weight to me. I mean, because so for instance, like your mom could easily be the queen of discs, or she could be the queen of cups, or queen of earth, and or queen of fire, and all of those have different elements, all different energies to it. But she's likely going to be standing in her power.
Right.
But a little 5-year-old is not going to be fully standing in her power.
Right.
And the reason why we're going deeper into the court cards is, again, because of the level of depth. When those cards start to come up, maybe it's encouraging you to remember to be playful, like the Princess of Water, when you're feeling your feels, not getting caught up in your emotions. Or maybe it's encouraging you to play with your emotions and, not have to be so serious about them all the time.
Right. Very true. Sometimes you
right?
just need to lighten up.
Sometimes. Yeah. And that's the best part about the court cards is like different ones will show up right when you need them.
Right.
Just to be like, hey, maybe we do need to take some action. I'm feeling Knight of Swords energy right now. Maybe we do need to take some action on the thoughts that we're creating or the idea or the program that we're trying to launch,
Yeah.
Just taking the time, like right now, I mean, you're very much so stepping into an authoritative energy with the creation of your project. Right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be perfect at it because you're just like, I'm stepping in. Where am I going to go? Not really sure, but I'm definitely working on it. And this is my vision with it.
Yeah.
And you got a vision, you're working on the vision. Boom.
At Envision Cafe.
At the Envision Cafe, are you serious right now?
I'm totally I'm literally at Envision Cafe.
As I get Cosma Visions and Prisma Visions Oracle decks. Okay. Yeah.
Can't make the stuff up, except we kind of are.
Right. Oh, and then I forgot the other one, which is Geomantic Visions, because there's the Geomancy coins, which I don't know if you've ever worked with Geomancy, but I never have. So I'm excited for that journey to start too.
That's interesting.
Right?
The
day that we have the podcast, everything's all about vision.
I love it. As we, tomorrow walk into Mercury retrograde. I love it.
Yeah, could you maybe share a little bit of your perception of Mercury retrograde?
Absolutely. So, when we release this podcast, we'll still be in the, in it. So it'll be perfect.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So Mercury retrograde, I find, gets a really bad rap, just like the tarot. It's misunderstood. And I've known Mercury retrogrades to be the most magical times in my life. It's no, you're not having the same communications with the universe or even anything around you than usual. And that's okay, because it's giving us the opportunity to to really tune in and to cultivate that communication within ourself for that inward journey, as well, with our dialogue with the universe. There's probably a reason for, technology not working at its best during this time, because of the fact that we're not there to be on, technology every 5 seconds, how we're taught in this society. We're here to cultivate our inner technology of how, our creator created us, and work those communications to its fullest. And I feel like when we take a moment and we set, time and space away to really, meditate, especially during this time, and work on our gifts, that's where we start seeing the magic, because we're rewriting something, and right now, during this time, Spirit really has called me to do psychic and intuitive development classes during this Mercury retrograde period. Why? Because that's what we're here to do, cultivate that stuff. Why not do it when we have the universe really, backing us up in that?
Right? What better time?
Let's, like you said, where do we take action? That right there was inspired action, and I find it really funny too that I'm starting this podcast the day before Mercury retrograde, where it does deal with technology and communications. I feel like I don't want to go with the same storyline of how the world has really, talked about Mercury retrograde. I'm rising above it. Let's talk about those things to clear those energies and move forward and be the best versions of ourselves that we can be.
And that's what I see Mercury retrograde is doing. It creates this almost frequency of let's shift.
Yes.
Let's change and let's transform. And so when you said, I feel like Mercury retrograde gets a bad rap, I'm like, yeah, it does. And it happens 4 times a year. People still ain't learned their lesson.
Right.
I'm like, okay, but see, did you realize that this happened the last Mercury in retrograde? You were having the exact same issues. Perhaps you might want to take a moment to really see your shit happening in front of you in live action. But that's again part of the society that we've grown up in. We're trained to just be distracted. We're distraction making machines. We are meaning making machines. Oh my God, this person didn't talk to me. Oh, well, all of a sudden that's actually a huge thing, when in reality that person was just having their own day, and we get so caught up sometimes in other people's storylines that we're not really paying attention to our own.
Totally.
And so I just finished the Landmark Forum, and that was one of the biggest things that I recognized and I really learned was that we do get so caught up in just telling stories, repeating the same old, traumas and trials and tribulations. Oh my God, life sucks, whatever, because of something else that happened, when we were kids. Okay, well, I'm 33 this year. I am not the same person. But if I'm so holed up by the fact that when I was, 8, this thing happened to me, okay, well, there's a couple ways to work with this. And, in no way are we excusing any of the atrocities that happened to the world. But we can simply state that this happened. I choose that it happened. I'm no longer fighting against the fact that it happened. Okay, I see it. I love it. And then now I'm moving forward, like, how does that actually affect the rest of my life? Knowing that that happened when I was 8, am I still going to retell the same story from when that I got hung up on when I was 8 versus now? I'm just saying 8 because 8's a great number for consistent growth and change and transformation. So, and it's like, so I was like, let's pick a good number for this. So, I mean, and that's, again, part of what tarot kind of brings up. It's the shadow work. It's re-examining parts of your life that you never would have if you didn't get the chance to. Like, you know, I get the chest of goodies from vision stuff. You're at a cafe visions, and I'm like, the universe gives us these synchronicities, gives us these powerful messages to be like, hey, yo. Are you listening? Because I'm right here. I'm ready to teach you. I'm ready to show up if you listen.
Yeah, we have to be open to it.
And that's the biggest thing. It's like so easy for us to get caught up, to, again, being caught up in everybody else's stories, but not really listening to our own. Like, I mean, wow, I just want to take a nice deep breath and just center in on, like, feeling our bodies right now.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
You know, the other day I did a breathwork class, and I completely forgot how much that our breath can impact us, can impact our thinking, our cognitive awareness can just completely shift based on, are we listening to our brains, or are we listening to our bodies? Are we listening to our heart? Are we listening to our stomach? And all are equal, all are valid, all are important. But if you recognize that you're spending so much time listening to only one, that's where we have to do the work.
100%.
Yeah.
Balance is a key.
Yeah. Balance is key. And I feel like I've like hopscotched all over the place. And but at the same point, it's all perfect, right?
Absolutely. We just did the fool's journey.
Facts. Because, I mean, and here's a big part that everybody freaks out about within the tarot is the devil, right? Oh, the devil. Oh, it's such a bad card. Oh. And it's
death.
not. Yeah, the death, the devil, the tower, like, yep. The three, there's the trifecta of literally returning to the earth.
Oof, yes.
Off the debris that is no longer serving. Okay, so if we first have to go to death, we got to do it right, okay? Death is the releasing to the soil that which is no longer serving you so that you can truly show up for yourself. And when we start that death transition, we are like, this is like considered like ego death. This is like transformation. But what has to happen for a garden?
Like, you got to have some stuff in there for it to grow.
Yeah, things have to die. So we're returning to earth. Like, fish bones is one of the best things for soil growth.
True.
Soil composition is amazing with fish bones. So, you know, as an example, put fish bones. I mean, you know, do it safely and ask somebody who does plants better. I'm not a plant person. Like, I mean, you know, and that's a big thing that I really like to stress for myself is that I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And I don't know a lot about that.
I feel you.
That's where I will admit my humbleness is like, I don't know everything. But, okay, so we've got death. We've worked with death a little bit. And so death is like ego death. You know, we no longer have to be the same person. Like, think about it this way. When we were in high school, we were one person. After we graduated from college, we're another person. Once we moved from our hometown for the first time, we're a different person. And then, like, so for me, I went and I traveled for 5 years. I'm a completely different person than I was before I traveled, right?
Right.
I mean, and all of those creates a different type of death, a releasing, or like it's no longer a valid part of your experience. Like, I'm not the same person who I was when I was 18, just out of high school. And I don't think any of us really are, but we don't notice that because in our society we don't have those big pivotal markers like they had in like Aboriginal cultures. Like, you're now officially a man, or a woman, or a being, or an adult, or whatever PC term we want to use. But regardless, you're no longer a kid. I mean, I think the closest we've got is, oh yeah, kid, you can go drink alcohol now. That's not a fucking marker. That is anyway. If you're a drinker, please stop. I love you. I'm day 12, 13 of not drinking.
Congratulations.
For myself. By the time this podcast comes out, I'll be much further along. But thank you. I've been I mean, there's a difference of like occasionally drinking, and then there's the difference of drinking every single day or drinking on the weekends, or But in either case, that can be taken to excess. I was with a partner for 5 years, and if we didn't go to the bar at least 4 nights a week, we didn't have a good week. So it's like you gotta really focus on where you're putting energy. So that's why I point out.
Hey, Rootz, you're going out a little bit.
Huh?
You're going out a little bit. There we go.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we did death, and there's the devil, and I love the devil. I love him so much because the lesson that he brings is so powerful. So the 6th card of the tarot is the Lovers card. The Lovers is showing up as like, this is what I desire within my life, and then that person kind of appears. And I like to use the Lovers as like when you truly love yourself and really are loving all aspects of yourself, or loving what's present, the good, bad, the ugly, the indifferent, then a lover really can start to really show up in your life.
Right.
And then later on down the rabbit hole of like, couple weeks, couple months, things start to change, and you start to be like, is this who I really want to spend my energy with? And that's kind of where the devil card then comes into play. It's like recognizing old habits. Like for me, like with drinking, do I really want to keep drinking? Right. And I was attached to somebody who that was their thing. They love to drink. And so we ignore messages or red flags like that sometimes. And that's just what the devil card wants us to bring up. It's not that the devil itself is actually bad. He's just the person waving the flag of like, honey, hi, I'm over here. I see you. Are you actually happy right now? It's cool if you are, but if you're not, like, here's the way to jettison the fuck out of that story. You do not have to be a part of a story that doesn't feel good for you. Like, and then, so the devil is 15, and then the tower card is 16, which is where the jettison then thing happens. Right. Because you then you're completely getting away. You're removing all of these stories, all of the armor that was encoding you to be this way, instead of allowing your authentic light to shine through. And so a lot of this is like metaphysical stuff, but it can be really grounded into practicality. And that is the medicine that I love within the tarot. And we've really only talked about the major arcana. We haven't jumped into the nitty-gritty of the every single day minor arcana stuff.
Right. True. We may actually need another podcast for that one.
I know. I'm ready. Let's go. Next week. Same time.
That could happen. We are instant manifestations here. Instant manifestors. Oh, man.
I am a manifest generator as far as human design goes, so.
True. And that's a cool subject in itself, too.
God, I just heard the backstory about how that actually came to be. Wow. What was it? 1987. The dude, I'm not going to remember what his name was. He was doing something. He ended up not really jiving with it anymore. So he then went to India and was wandering around and exploring there, and then he went back to his home, and the room was this weird orange light, and then his dog was stuck in a trance, and then he apparently went into a trance for like 8 days. Okay, so then when he came out, that's when human design came through, and it was like human design is based off of like I Ching, astrology, a couple of other different astrology, more other systems that I'm not 100% on. But like this all came from a dude who went 8 days into a trance, and the amount of intricate system working is just phenomenal. But that's a rabbit hole I'm not quite I'm not fully down for right now. But you know what? If you're down for that rabbit hole as a listener, or Catriel, I say go for it. But here's the thing: there are thousands of rabbit holes in the world. Make sure it's the one you really want to go down.
That's
because there's always infinite possibilities, right? If we open up the infinite possibility that literally no matter what it is you want to do, you have the absolute capability of doing it, and you want to, go for it, of course. There's nothing holding you back except for you.
That's full circle, talking about the rabbit holes, where we put our energy, where we want to invest our energy,
Yeah.
Yo, it's been incredible to have you on here, and I feel like we're going to have so many podcasts together. Like, I just can feel it already.
I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. I've been wanting to do podcasts for a while, too. So,
yeah.
Grateful for you. I'm grateful for this time. For everybody's listening. Again, my name is Rootz NFLuX, NFLuX. I'd love to connect with you. I'm so grateful to be on this podcast today. This is great. Thank you, Catriel.
Thank you so much. This is just a dream being on here and sharing this with you. Next podcast, we will actually have Kristen Wolf on here. And she is going to be talking about ancestral healing, which I'm really excited for. And that wraps up today's podcast. And thank you again, Rootz. Thank you so much. This is Energy Speaks with Catriel. Over and out.